So good morning, or good afternoon. Today's a very different vlog. I'm here with Matt and Cam, and we're going to talk about entrepreneurship today, but we just had to bring his bird out for a really sick thumbnail, so...
There we go.
Alright, how's it? So today we're doing something different. These are my mates, Matt and Cam, both aspiring, well, not really aspiring, but actual functional entrepreneurs in South Africa. And I thought we could just have a quick chat out here in the farm, in the middle of Hilton, and just chat about entrepreneurship and what these guys are doing, because I'm trying to learn from the masters. So take it away, what are you guys doing?
So Cam and I started in business we've always been into entrepreneurship actually. Cam was selling Cokes at school, I was selling jackets at varsity, I used to get bales from Europe. And then I got to know Cam in about third year of varsity, and he was starting education business, Ponder Learning, and I was quite impressed. You don't normally find other people our age at the time starting their own businesses.
Oh man, it's tough to do it at varsity as well.
100%. So just got chatting to Cam. I checked his whole stack of books, his business books there.
Bro, it's always impressive when you walk into someone's room.
There's
bookshelf there.
Then we went on a trip to Vrede. Cam does falconry, so we were out there in Vrede flying his birds and chatting about business, and we started our first little business, Taproot, online e-commerce type thing, and we realized quite quickly that wasn't going to scale.
Yeah, not a scalable company.
Not scalable at all. Yeah. So then we started looking at our options, and we looked into to running an agency, to running a service-based business. Maybe Cam can give us some insight onto why that was a good idea compared to doing a product-based business or any other kind of,
Yeah, so the main reason why we found that Taproot wasn't the most scalable business is you constantly reinvesting all your cash and capital that you make back into the business to buy more stock. So we would get however many propagators and things that we'd sell, and then we'd sell it, and we'd make the money back, and then we'd have to go and buy a whole bunch more stock. So
Margins were slim.
Margins were pretty slim, not bad, but still to do the numbers, we'd have to either get investment from someone outside, which is not the route that we wanted to go. So the service-based business is very much just skills-based. So you have to learn your skills, and then you trade your skills for money, which low startup costs, pretty much very little until you start. When you sign your first clients is when you start actually having to pay for things. So up until that point, you can kind of get away with very little. So just good startup type business, and a good cash flow generating business. That's the goal.
So for the audience then, what is your current business doing in that, and what are you offering, how are you making money in that in South Africa, because it's tough for small entrepreneurs and small businesses.
Yes, yeah. So providing services. So Matt and I, we started Powerbox Digital together, which is a digital marketing agency. We hadn't really niched down, and then Matt went traveling, and he ended up leaving the business to me. I then niched down somewhat into construction. I'll let Matt tell you about what he's doing now, but I niched down to providing digital marketing, websites, and lead generation for construction and geotechnical companies.
And you're making it work. It's going well.
Making it work, yeah. It's getting there. I've learned a lot. I feel like at the beginning when I started, I had to kind of figure it out. So I'd say to the clients, listen, we can do it, but I didn't really know how. Now I feel like I know the how behind that, and I can actually execute on goals and stuff, which is a much more calming place to be, I think.
And yours?
Yeah, 100%. I think our whole goal, first of all, our whole goal is to build skills. The goal isn't really a monetary goal at the moment. It's about who was I a year ago and who am I now, and what is my ability to make money? You know what I mean? What skills have I learned in business? Just general day-to-day things. You learn so much working with older guys, and I think that's another great benefit of working with an agency model, is you get an insight into so many different types of businesses. So I'm working with quite a few education companies, very similar model to Cam. I've got a couple clients, and we do web development, SEO, Google Ads. Pretty much if you need leads for your business, we're the ones to chat to. We also do a bit more than that, so we do a little bit of software development. Mitch is actually working on a project with us at the moment on an education platform that's really exciting. We're developing a bit of a yeah, we're developing something there. Can't give too much away.
That's so funny.
Something exciting.
Can't give too much away at the
You in
moment.
stealth? Are you in stealth still?
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
I hate it when
Stealth
people
mode
say
still.
that.
Stealth
In
mode
stealth
still.
mode, and they're
But-
just developing like a web app or something.
Yeah. No, I agree. But we've signed NDAs. We respect the contract. You know what I mean?
It's good. It's good.
So-
Real
but-
business.
but
Someone
keep-
who actually respects business. Yeah.
Keep an eye out because you'll probably hear about it quite soon. But yeah, so mainly doing that and trying to find a niche, I guess. I think our goal is to work with companies overseas. The US is definitely a target market for us at the moment, especially the geo arbitrage working.
Currency
working-
conversion.
Yeah, currency conversion.
Because the
just-
rand
it's
is
crazy.
shit if no one noticed.
The rand isn't great, and dollars are great if you're
Dollars
South
are-
African. But also it just allows us to provide more value to our clients. You know, if we're getting
At a
if
good,
we're getting
rate.
paid more, we can employ how like really good operators. We can employ people that work hard. You know, that really are worth the salary. You know what I mean? And then because we can do that, we can provide our clients a way better service.
Yeah.
So Matt, I've got
So,
a
yeah.
question for you. Okay, so you're talking about skills and developing skills.
Yes.
What do you think, like when you were starting out when we first met?
Yeah.
What do you think the skills are? The three, or maybe not, or however many, the skills that you would go if you could go back, only focus on those, or like for
What,
people
like, to be,
starting
like,
out.
to
you
become
know?
an aspiring
So-
entrepreneur. Because right now I'm a entrepreneur. These guys are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, entrepreneur.
We
We're
still
entrepreneurs.
feel like we're entrepreneurs.
You guys have built
Yeah.
clients. You're an entrepreneur.
I think we were actually chatting about this the other day, Cam and I. We were saying if we had to go back to like have a chat with young Cam and Matt from 2 years ago when we first met, what would we tell Cam and Matt?
Yeah.
You know, from then. And I think when you say skills, I think there's two different types of skills. Like you can learn a soft skill, I guess, as in
Like a people skill.
yeah, I guess a people skill, that kind of thing. But I think for me, the biggest thing is the mindset of just being consistent and sticking to what you're doing. And like a little bit of work every day goes a long way over a long period of time. And just sort of trusting the process, backing yourself to pull it off is
Sound like
important.
Tony Robbins here.
No,
Gotta
but
believe in yourself.
Motivation. Ugh.
I guess
Manifest.
consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency is number one. It's very important.
And then the hard
But
skills.
also business, like people skills, is very important. I think learning how to interact with clients, and that's kind of stuff you can't get taught. And we used to read a lot of books. You've seen our books.
The bookshelf
our
upstairs is
bookshelf.
very impressive.
And you can read as much as you want, but if you haven't actually experienced something, you don't really learn much when you read. You know, now after dealing with clients and like actually having problems to solve, and you go and read a book, and everything's like, that makes sense.
Okay,
now,
yeah, because it's applicable.
you know, because you can actually apply that knowledge to what you've done before. So I would say, just start something. Like even with your Laughing Velociraptor AI website.
Got to
It's a
workshop that
mouthful.
name.
We need to work on that name, but like it's a start, and it's great. You know.
No, I've learned some stuff already.
100%. It's up and running. It's going.
That
You
is
could wait forever to wait until the website's perfect, but it's not. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just small little incremental steps that are important. And I think you get yourself to 80%, and you go for it, and then the last 20% will come over time. You know.
And that's why it's nice to like hang out with people who are doing this stuff as well. Because like, oh, you guys are sending out cold emails. Like maybe I should do that. The website's not done. I don't have like a business incorporated yet. But
Yeah.
let me see if anyone's willing
Yeah.
to chat to me. If anyone actually wants to do any work with me, like, start that straight away.
100%.
Hope you can hear us over the wind.
Yeah, it's very, very windy.
But then I wanted to ask, like, moving on to like a more technical subject. Maybe we can take a step back so that we still in frame, yeah.
Okay.
But like, how does one start a business? Because I know you started it with Stripe Atlas and like an American-based thing. I don't know if the other company was local or if it was foreign.
Yeah, well,
I'd like to know the technicalities of it. Like, you know, how does one start a business? Like, how do you get a bank account open? How do you start accepting money? I mean, you can't have a business until you actually have a registered company. So, like, the technical side of it, I think a lot of people don't know how it works. And I'd like to
Yeah.
hear the story of that.
Okay. Well, I think I'll let Cam chat just now, but you can, as a South African, start a sole proprietorship.
Yeah.
Very simple. You know, you just use your own personal bank account. You don't need a business bank account. that makes sense if you're a small business. As soon as you're exceeding the business tax rates, I'm not a fundi on tax. I don't know everything about it.
This is not legal or tax advice.
This is not legal or tax advice at all.
Disclaimer.
But we just decided to start. I'll actually let Cam chat you through the process of starting our business here in South Africa, and then I'll explain the American part.
Yeah.
So I think, like, technically, I would advise a lot of people to start the business and then create the business. So, like, start trying to find, like, try to get your first 5 customers before you worry about creating the business and creating all the logo, all of that stuff that you think is really important. Try, if you can, get your first 5 clients. Once you've got to that stage and you're like, okay, this is something that I can do and something that is profitable going forward, then you're going to need to start your business.
Makes sense.
In South Africa, the quickest thing, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can either do it directly through CIPC, which they give you a lot of forms, a lot of information that you have to work with and work through.
Yeah,
but
that's the CRPC.
CRPC.
Something intellectual property.
It's over here at the bottom of the
It's on
screen.
the screen.
Yeah. So there is a company that who I went through called GovChain, and if govchain.co.za, they facilitate all of that. So you go on there and you create an account and you put in your information. They'll go and get your registration certificate, your incorporation documents, all of the information that you'll need to create your business.
But you can also do that all manually and by yourself.
Yeah, so you can do that. So if you do it through GovChain, it's 880 Rand once-off fee, and then you pay if you need like director change or like you need certain things to be done. I think if you do it manually, like through CRPC or through CIPC, maybe I'm wrong there. But if you do it directly through them, I think it's maybe $100. So it's probably a lot cheaper, but a lot more admin. So I mean, whatever's going to work. From there, directly from the GovChain website, you either, if you're going through GovChain, you go from the website and you can set up an FNB bank account, or if you want to set up a separate business bank account, you go to the bank. Once you've got those things set up, you can accept payments and you've got your incorporation documents. That's literally all you need. From there,
Really? Yes, it's
to
so
start
simple.
off with,
So
that's
easy.
all you need. Once you've got income coming in, wise to go chat to an accountant, start thinking about tax.
Tax
If you're making a lot of money, don't just spend it all and then think about taxes
Are you
later.
speaking from experience? Yeah, bro.
Luckily, speaking from a mate's experience.
Learn
So, yeah.
from other people's mistakes.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
But yeah, once you've got those 2 things set up, you're pretty much good to go. And there's not too much stuff that you got to do, obviously, twice a year. Yeah, to get started. Once you up and going, there's more stuff that comes along, like your annual
Clients.
returns, tax returns, that type of thing. If you're employing people, then there's quite a lot around that. But most of our work works around a subcontractors agreement. So we'll have people working for us that have their own companies or whatever, and we work in company to company. So it's not like I employ them directly.
Okay, makes
So
sense.
that's a South African way. We just did that just because we didn't know about Matt's way, I guess, originally. Matt is a bit different though.
So I used a service called Stripe Atlas, which is, it's a great service. It's actually so easy that people ask me, how do you have an LLC set up in America? And I'm just like, I just use Stripe Atlas.
Yeah.
Just go through the steps. They lay everything
Like the
out.
onboarding process.
It's really, really simple. Obviously, we need to consider tax and that kind of thing. But
Matt hasn't had any calls with the IRS yet.
Yeah,
But
the
one
I-
day he's going to have
the
some
IRS
interesting double taxation agreements.
we'll have interesting stuff to think about. But you call them champagne problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I'm worrying about tax from the IRS, then
Because you've made so much fucking money.
hopefully I can afford an accountant to
Yeah.
sort myself out. But basically, just go to stripeatlas.com. I think it is. I don't know what thing is. Just Google
It's on the
Stripe
screen.
Atlas. Here's the link. And just go for it from there. So I've got my LLC set up there, so I
It's in
can
Delaware,
accept
right?
in Delaware, yeah. And it's
The LLC, not a C corp.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go with C corp. LLC works. And the tax is great in Delaware. And it pretty much what it allows me to do is accept international payments. Being from South Africa, we don't have Stripe here.
Yeah.
Stripe is
It's like the online
Probably
payment
the
platform
leading-
that everyone in the
leading-
world trusts.
Everyone uses Stripe. Everyone trusts Stripe.
Because if you want to use a local payment provider, it's cool. You can use PayFast and that. But then when you're selling to overseas clients and that, the price is shown in rands. No one in America is going to buy a product that's 4,000 rand. They're going to be like, "What's a rand?" And then
Exactly.
leave your website.
Exactly.
So it's kind of actually a necessary evil.
Yeah, 100%. So I haven't. Some of my clients they're based here in South Africa, but they've got offshore accounts, so they
Okay.
prefer paying into my US account.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. But when I start to sign US clients, then it will just make life so much easier.
Yeah, and you've got a Mercury bank account, right?
Yeah, Mercury bank account. It's a startup bank in America, a bank for startups. 0 fees. It's pretty straightforward.
That's sick.
That's pretty much the process. But I would recommend, especially if you're from South Africa, just start something small. If you're looking at starting something, don't worry about your website or even the business name doesn't really matter
Yeah,
that much.
bro, your
you know.
logo and
The
that,
logo,
the colors.
that
I'm
stuff
guilty of
changes
that stuff, of
as
spending
you
lots of
go.
time on it.
But it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's really enjoyable.
Makes you feel like you've got a business.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to do it at some stage
Yeah.
because then otherwise you'd feel like you don't actually have something going on.
Yeah.
So you got to get there, but yeah.
Just focus on getting your first 5 customers. Focus
Yeah.
on getting your first 5 customers, and once you've done that, then you've got a business.
Yeah.
Then all the other stuff can come as you go. As I said, like iterate.
That's good.
Little bit by little bit.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah.
like for me personally, if I hadn't taken the risk of starting my first business, Ponder Learning, which didn't go that well, I didn't really know what I was doing at
Yeah.
all.
Did you liquidate it?
No, so it's still a company at the moment. Probably will deciding whether or not to start up something else in its place. Yeah, that's will probably be more of a long-term thing. But yeah, I feel like if I hadn't just taken the leap and been like, you know what, most likely the first business is going to fail, I would never have learned enough to then start my second business or third business or fourth business or yeah, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. I think that taking that leap of actually starting something, then you're like, oh, okay, I don't know this, I don't know that, I
And
don't
you
know
learn
this.
as you go.
You know what to learn then from there.
Yeah. And I think find mentors. Like find someone who's done it before, and chat to them.
That's why I'm here, bro. So funny.
Huge help. Don't reinvent the wheel. I always say that. I said that earlier. Like, I'll keep saying that.
I'd like to ask then, since you guys have been going for like many months, longer than me, like what's been like the hardest part of entrepreneurship / like running your own business so far in South Africa from your experience?
I know what we're both going to say.
Is it illegal to say?
No. I'd say the hardest part is self-motivation, I think, is that like, because you work for yourself, you've got, like for me personally, I study online part-time, so that doesn't take much of my time. But like, I'll wake up on a Tuesday morning and realistically, if I did no work that day, maybe no one would notice and I could get away with it. But if you do enough of those days, eventually everything's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So you have to wake up and consistently put in enough work so that everyone's happy, while also still living a life and still like not being so invested that you suddenly like aren't even enjoying it anymore. And I've been through stages like that where I'm loving entrepreneurship and I'm doing like 12, 16-hour days, like grafting really hard, and then there's times where like 4 hours feels like the longest time, but you just consistently at least put in a couple hours. I feel like that is maybe the hardest part, but also where the most gains are done.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think also just the uncertainty. It's very difficult. I mean, I could, same as you could get a job tomorrow if you wanted, especially as a computer engineer. And I've got my degree, and it's kind of...
Don't quit your degree to go to entrepreneurship.
Disclaimer.
Folks. Get your degree first.
Well, anyway.
I would disagree.
No, okay, we'll get to that now then.
Yeah. I think because you have the security of the degree already, so the next step is to just take the next, go and get a job. That's the next logical thing to do, and it's pretty safe to do that. It's cool. You can get a great job. You can, and I'm not saying don't get a job. Like jobs are awesome if you can get the right job. I think I don't know about where you worked. I think the corporate structure wasn't really for you.
Had to leave.
Yeah. But people can, like a lot of my friends have got great jobs and getting paid great money and actually making some
And they
good
love
money.
it. That's
And
what
they
matters.
love it,
Like, do you enjoy your life every day?
Yeah.
That's what matters.
100%.
Yeah, I think for us, like we enjoy every day waking up and like
good.
working on our own thing, so that's what we want to do. And you can always fall back on something, but I'll never be able to be in this position again where
Also, we're young. You take lots of risks when
exactly.
you're young.
We're young. I don't have any overheads. I don't have kids. I don't have that kind of problem to worry about. And I think like maybe you'd think it's a good idea to start your business later on, like in 5 years' time. And then 5 years gets there, and you've got a family, you've got monthly bills that you have to pay.
Because I don't own a car, house, or like the most expensive thing I own is my laptop, so it's easy to move around.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's pretty much that's what I was.
Oh, makes sense. Anything else you guys have to mention then about entrepreneurship? Or
Do you want
Just
to
keep talking.
tell us about why you think varsity is not a good idea?
Okay. For me personally.
Okay,
For
okay.
me personally, why I don't think varsity is a good idea. I still think varsity is a very good idea for most people. I think entrepreneurship takes a certain character type, certain type of person. Some people start out that person, they're an entrepreneur, and you're like, okay, that person's an entrepreneur. Some people have to learn it, and learning it can be quite tough. And I feel like some parts of it I had down well and I was pretty good at, some parts of it not really, and I've had to learn and things. I think that I don't like the idea. The varsity thing for me is very. I think if you're going very niche varsity, so like engineering is quite is some
Engineers.
Yeah, they're engineers. I'm doing a BCom now. I was doing a BSc, and I feel like I'd rather, if you can get into like you know, if you want to become a doctor or you
Or
want to
a
become
vet
a
or-
vet or something like that, there's a really high niche, very specific types of things, I'd say then you definitely want a degree and you definitely ought to go get one. For people who aren't quite sure what they want to do, especially, I think that going to varsity is not a good thing, because it just sends you, it's just a path that's laid out in front of you, and when you get to the end of that, a lot of people feel like, okay, when I get my degree, I'll be able to go get a job. And I know loads of people who now have degrees, and bearing in mind not engineering or some of those things, but they have a degree and now they can't find work. Whereas if I go to an interview tomorrow, I haven't finished my BCom yet, but if I go to an interview with someone tomorrow, obviously if it's in the line of work that I've done, if I say, listen, I've had 2 years of experience trying to start my own thing, I've had months where I haven't been able to pay for my own food for a week or something, I've had to really graft, I've put in all-nighters, I've done all that, that's what that guy's going to hire me over this person who's just come out of varsity, maybe hasn't had loads of experience, but has just been like following the norm, you know. Even if you take a gap year and you go traveling and you do your thing on the side, I still feel like that's a better story and more of an interesting thing to chat with someone at an interview one day, rather than I just spent 4 years studying, you know. That's kind of my idea. And for me personally, why I really didn't want to get a degree was because it kind of gave me a thing that I could accept failure, I guess. Like if I failed in my business, I could just go back to my degree and go back and do whatever. Whereas if I don't do that, if I dropped out completely, I better make this work. No matter what happens, I need to either start a new thing or fix this thing or do
Good
whatever.
attitude.
Which is like but I know for certain people, that's not the right thing. Like,
I'd like to push back on it as well and say that like there's a lot of survivorship bias in business and in entrepreneurship as well. Like you only ever hear the stories of guys who are successful, who are making money, not the thousands of people who liquidate businesses and who like end up broke in that. I mean, I'm like a big fan of the startup culture and that, and would love to go to Silicon Valley and that one day. But there's thousands of people who try to start a tech startup and failed. You only hear about Musk and Bezos and that. And also like the statistics don't lie. Most getting a varsity degree, like automatically, almost over the whole course of your life, leads to higher lifetime earnings as opposed to just a high school degree and that. And so for most people, like the statistics are that you will make more money your whole life if you go to varsity as opposed to not going to university. But as you say, it's up to you, and it's up to what you like planning for your life also, and what you're planning to like to work in and what kind of industry. Obviously, doctors, we want you guys to have degrees, you know? We don't want you there with a scalpel just playing it for fun. But I hear what you're saying.
no distance learning doctors, please.
Eat your veggies, your doctors are learning online. No, I get what you're saying. So there's a balance, but it's up to you and what you want to do. Matt, what do you have to weigh in here?
I also think how much like anxiety you can like deal with. Maybe not anxiety, but like how much stress you want to deal with in your life. Because being an entrepreneur is stressful. So I think I'd also think.
I don't know how to like.
Why, what was the main reason you decided when you came back and you weren't sure about whether you would go like apply for a job or start your own thing? What made you lean towards starting your own thing?
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with it, with whether I went to varsity or not. I think.
Well, you've got your degree now, is what I'm saying. So you could.
I just don't
easily
agree with how structured varsity is. You know what I mean? So, like for example, I've got a friend who's going back to finish one module. She's going back to Stellies for a whole year to do one module. come on, like that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Just I understand that the structure's in place because there's thousands of people and they can't just accommodate for one person. But I think it's a very outdated way of doing things. We can accommodate, we can personalize education a lot more now. You know, people can have their own individual learning paths and still come out with the same skills and knowledge at the end of the day.
Probably better.
Yeah, probably better.
Customized.
You know, so I think that it's just quite a traditional, rigid way of doing things. And if I had to employ someone and one person was at varsity for 3 years and the other person was freelancing or trying to do their own thing for 3 years and worked on projects and built stuff, I would much rather go with the person who's built stuff before than the person who's got the varsity degree.
Makes sense.
But it also depends on role. Again, like a lawyer, obviously, you need to go to varsity, you need to study, you need to get a law degree. And there's certain like hoops you have to jump through to get there. Same with doctors or even engineers. But if you're not sure what to do, I wouldn't recommend going to study a BCom at like Stellies for 3 years, possibly 4 or 5 even.
See, I don't know. I think I still disagree with you. Like,
Why?
I still think it's a good idea to go and get knowledge. Because also, when you come out of a matric, you're an idiot. Sorry to say, but like we
Yeah.
all were.
Yeah.
Like, if I think about how much I've learned and how much of the world and of the world's knowledge I've just been exposed to through like a structured learning program. There's so much
Yeah.
that I didn't even know existed, and that university taught me that there was hardware, there was physics, there was electronics, circuits, maths, all these things, and like you say,
You learned
yes,
a very
yes.
technical degree.
And also
You know what I
you
mean?
very like you're someone who wants to learn a lot. So like some people will go to varsity and they'll literally just like cram for the test the night before, write the test, and then go drinking for the whole weekend.
But also, do you not
afterwards.
think that without that structure, a lot of people, it's great to say you can learn anything you want online and that, but the amount of discipline and the amount of structure that you need to do that is few and far between. Like a lot of, like myself as well, like if I sit down for 6 months and try to learn all the stuff I learned at varsity, I'd lose motivation, wouldn't be that. So do you not think also that structure there is like necessary for a lot of people to learn and be exposed to things? Because if you're not doing that, you would really struggle. Like,
Well,
I'm different to
yeah.
you guys as well, because like I went straight into a corporate job after varsity and that, and was very positive about it at first, and it failed for other reasons and that. But like I very much, I'm not opposed to going back into the corporate world, working for someone else and that, because you can learn on someone else's dime. You can do a lot of great work inside of a big company with lots of capital, with none of the stress of entrepreneurship. So
100%.
I'm not opposed to going back.
I think that's why I said having a job. If you can get a job, go for it. You learn so much, but you can also get a really cuck job
Yeah, no.
and not learn anything. You know what I mean? Like you put yourself in that position as a computer engineer where you can go into a company and you can actually learn really cool stuff and like actually have a big impact on that company.
No, but some degrees
we'll
are more
cut this
some
out.
degrees are more specialized than others, and so it's interesting to see what you're going to do with them, because not every degree leads into a profession. An accounting degree
Yes,
leads into an
yes.
accounting profession. Engineering degree leads into an engineering job. The ones that don't lead into professions are often a lot tougher to get jobs
Yes.
with. So
Yeah,
that's what
that's a good way to say it.
That's exactly what
It's a degree that doesn't lead into a profession.
Yeah, so you got to make your
You might
own
have
path.
a
Yeah.
business management degree, but you don't. There's not like
You can't just go and manage a business straight after that.
yeah.
Understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so might as well just get practice running a business.
Yes,
First.
I think that's a good example. Is the business like a BCom business management
Mm.
or something business management? You can't then go in from that and then start your own thing and expect that you can, like I do business management modules.
What is
that
your
like
you
non-related completely, like to actually running? It would work in a big corporate sense, but if to get it to a high-level management position in a corporate sense, you still have to climb the ladder, which means you still have to learn those skills while you're actually at the company. Whereas if you want to start your own thing, to do like a BCom business management, the business management doesn't teach you at all how to manage a small-scale startup or anything like that, which I think is, yeah.
Also, I'd like to point out that like it's not a binary choice. You don't have to choose. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a
Yes,
corporate wage
yes.
slave, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like you can do both. I was doing side projects when I was working at my corporate job. Even now, if a big enough company that I was really interested in working in like messaged me and was like, hey, do you want to come work here? I'd be there tomorrow. No problem. You can do both, and it's just about finding out what you're interested in and what you're good at.
Yes.
100%.
So anything
So
else to
I've
wrap
got
up?
some questions for you now, Mitch.
Questions,
Okay.
sure.
So
All right.
Now
This is I'm interviewing you here though.
you now, so you say like your corporate ended end of last year. Eh?
Yeah.
So this is like month one. It's now end of month one.
Yeah.
On this,
6 month
thing.
runway for startup own business.
Okay, so what do you feel like you know now at the end of the first month that you didn't know when you left the job at the end of last year? And what do you feel like are the next like 3 steps you feel like you want to take? Or
it's a good question, because like I'm obviously at like a different part
Mm-hmm.
in the journey to you guys. Like number one is that like finding clients is like quite difficult. Like I've been using my like professional and personal network to meet people and that, and I've had a lot of meetings and that, and we've done you've talked to people like, you know, what kind of solutions can I build, you kind of in the software engineering and AI space. And it's tough to find like clients and that with no reputation in that. And so just like getting off the ground and getting started, I think is quite difficult. And maybe I don't think I naively assumed that it would be easier to get clients, but certainly that there's a lot more non-technical stuff that goes into like building technical solutions. Like it's very easy as a software developer to sit down and like, cool, we're going to code up these 6 features today. Sharp. Much harder when you actually have to convince a client that like to buy the product in the first place.
That those features are going to benefit him.
And so I think perhaps just learning that like that's going to take up a lot more of my time, and like that's actually what I need to focus on. I need to learn marketing and sales in addition to whatever technical skills I've got to be any kind of success. Watch Alex on these videos. We love you, bro.
Give us free stuff, more hats, please.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then you asked like what the next like steps were. Yeah, I don't know, probably just like more of the same. Learning more sales, learning more marketing, being here with you guys now, like, you know, learning like cold email techniques and like the fact that you just need to get your name and your product out there. Probably got to spend a lot more time and effort on that. And then you always talk about like, you know, creating a value proposition and that. There's lots of software developers out there, there's lots of AI companies and that, but what can like I offer that another company can't? You know, small team, don't have a huge reputation in that, but yeah, I can get you a prototype tomorrow. So probably developing my value and my offer in that, as opposed to what's out there already, will probably be a big part of like what I spend the next few months on, in addition to traveling with any money I make.
So what could you tell us in your year of work last year? How much have you learned compared to this first month that you've been out? Do you think you've learned more this month, or do you think you learned a lot more working in that corporate
So I mean,
space?
I've only I went away at the start of this month, so I've only really been working for like 3 weeks. So I've learned more of my corporate job and that. Lot of what not to do in a business, actually, funnily enough. I made a whole video about it. But I feel like I'm learning different stuff. I was learning big interpersonal relationships inside a big corporate team there.
And very technical skills, like, or were you kind of leading the front on the technical side?
No, I was still learning. I mean, I was a junior developer, so I was still learning technically. No, like soft skills, like interpersonal skills, how to manage a big team, how to be managed in a team, how to communicate, how to like work with others to get a big project like going and that. Whereas now, much more like, you know, the soft skills of like client reach out, cold outreach, working, you know, to develop an offering, getting like social media presence and that up and running. Because obviously by myself, you know, sitting at home working on these things, as opposed to like working with a big team. So different skills in that. You know, I'm forecasting to obviously learn a lot more. Like I had the whole of last year, I learned nothing about sales and marketing and that, and now after like 2 days here with you, I've learned a lot more already. That's good.
That makes sense.
Any closing thoughts then on the entrepreneurship, business, money-making South Africa game?
I think I'm done,
I think like for someone who's not sure, who's thinking about starting something but isn't sure, I think that just don't try and start $1 billion company on your first day. Try and make your first $200
Guilty, bro.
kind of thing.
Absolutely guilty.
Like try and find, if you can just, I don't know, go and sell your old clothes or do something that can generate your first bit of money. That feedback loop of, okay, you got positively reinforced for making some money, rather than like for me trying to build this big tutor platform that 14 months later, that's when I made the first bit of cash. But by then you've lost all the momentum, all the excitement, whatever. Try and get sales. Try and start something small, because once you've got the money is when you look to expand. Try and just generate some form of income. Just start something. And if you're not sure, like someone said to me once, they were like, good on you for actually starting. Everyone has the same YouTube, but you're actually following through with it, you know. So a lot of people see the Andrew Tate, they see the Alex Hormozy, they see the
Block
whoever.
that first
you know.
name out of the video. Yeah.
You see the whoever, you know, the people who are telling everyone to start these things. If it's something that you want to do, just do it. If it's something that you're not sure about, then maybe it's not for you, and that's also cool, you know.
Yeah, no, it's good advice. So on that great note, thank you for watching. Yeah, so nice to learn from you guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And to learn from you.
Cheers.
eh?